Should you rent your car out on Turo? Can you make big money doing this side hustle that's kind of gone viral in the last 6 months? Me and my wife, we travel all the time. Every other month or every couple months, we go somewhere. And the last places that we've gone, we've used Turo like crazy. I am not a paid sponsor. I'm not a paid sponsor of Turo. I love it. It makes car renting so much easier. And I've always thought, how much are these people really making renting out their car on Turo? And on my channel, you can hit subscribe and like if you get value out of this. But on my channel, I'm reviewing businesses and talking about entrepreneurship. And I'm like, I need to do one on Turo because this is a side hustle that I really think you could make money at. But then I started breaking down the numbers. So let's go through the numbers here. I used the most generic car that I could think of, which is a Honda Accord. A Honda Accord that you can buy used for around $20,000. Used car prices have kind of gone down, so I was looking on the market and I'm like, you can buy a 2 to 3 year old Honda Accord for 20 grand. And if you're gonna buy a Honda Accord, I said, what's the average down payment that people put on a car? You can always put less, but I just said, what if we put $5,000 down and our monthly payment would be $285 a month? Okay, so we'd have 11 payments because that first payment we don't make a payment on because we made the down payment. And that would be $3,135 a year that we're spending on our payment on an annual basis the first year. And we put $5,000 down, so that would put us at $8,135 that we're paying out our first year. So let's see if we can actually make that renting our car out on Turo. So I was looking up numbers. Turo has a great kind of car calculator. You can actually put in your car and where you're at in the region. So I did the national average. I did kind of across the whole nation, and I got an average of around $8,000 with what you can rent your car out for the year with Turo. So when I looked at the math, the first year we're paying out $8,135, and we end up bringing in $8,000. So we have a negative loss of $135. Well, let's pump the brakes. You know, that's not necessarily a bad thing because somebody else pretty much paid for your down payment and they paid for all your monthly payments on the car. So you do have an asset in which you have equity in. So that is interesting, and I'll talk in a second about how that plays in after the 5-year loan period is done. So at that point, when you're going into year 2, you still have the income. Let's say the income remains the same. You're still at an $8,000 annual income. But now this year you don't have the down payment of the $5,000, so you have the $3,135 cash flow because you have your $8,000 rental income minus the $3,135. So that puts you at a cash flow of $4,865. Okay, so we have the $8,000 income. We have the $3,135 monthly payment. That puts us at a cash flow of $4,865 year 2. So we're making close to $5 grand going into year 2. And then your asset, let's just say your asset at that point, you bought the car for 20 grand. Now it's worth 15. You owe 10 probably owe 10 by then. And you have essentially a cash flow of $4,865. So you could sell that car. You could probably sell that car for around 15. So you're making $5,000 plus the cash flow. That's pretty good. So you're up about $10,000 year 2 if you were to exit this whole plan. So basically, this is an asset business, in my opinion, where someone else is paying for your car. So let's look at this picture at the end of the loan. Where are you going to be at? First off, I would just say you're going to have a beat up car. Your car is not going to be in pristine condition at the end of this 5-year period. Trust me, some of the cars I've rented from Turo, even the ones that have only had about 10 to 12 passengers or rentals total, it's getting a little bit beat up. So at the end of the 5-year mark, this is assuming the price is never going to change, but let's just continue with it. You have a car that I would say is probably going to be worth 5 to 8 grand. That Honda Accord is probably going to have close to 200,000 miles on it, and it's only going to be worth 5 to 8 grand. So let's say at every year, we're cash flowing from 2 to year 5, so that's 4 years. We were cash flowing $4,865. I just took us down to $4,000. $865 a year. Let's just track into maintenance. So I put 4,000 times 4 years puts us at $16,000 that we made 4 years, because that first year we broke even. Actually, we lost a little bit of money. Let's just say we broke even. So 4,000 times 4 years puts us at 16,000. Plus, if you were to sell your car for $8,000, that puts you at $24,000, in which you have 16,000 in cash from cash flowing every year, and then you have the $8,000 that you sold your car for. So after 5 years of only putting in $5,000 of your own money, you have cash and an asset that you can calculate to your return on investment of $24,000. So from a $5,000 investment, you made $24,000. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good return on investment if you were to put $5,000 in the stock market. I don't know if it's going to go up almost 5 times at the end of 5 years. So that being said, let's pump the brakes on saying that this is a great business idea, because I'm getting ready to tear it down. So I'm going to evaluate this on the ability to scale, how much money you can make, the time, and some challenges that you're going to face. So scalability, it's going to be really hard for you to scale unless you take your cash flow every that second year and you start buying additional vehicles. But every time you're buying additional vehicles, I'll tell you about the time that's going to get taken away from you. So let's go through money. In my opinion, this business does not make sense money-wise. You know how people say, hey, it may make sense, but it don't make money? That's what this business is. You're going to need 10 cars just to make $50,000 a year. I think you could really find some other businesses in which you can make more money with almost the same amount of time. I reviewed a lot of businesses on my page. Go check them out. Just bringing up one example, you could start a cleaning company, probably work the same amount of time and make way more money than renting your car out on Turo, because you have a lot of unforeseen risks with Turo. Somebody could wreck your car, somebody could damage it, maybe the insurance doesn't pay out. And quite frankly, in the time category, I hope you live close to an airport, because if you don't, you're going to be driving back and forth to an airport, because every time I've rented a Turo, people say, well, you got to pay an extra $50 delivery charge. I don't care. I'm paying the $50. But that costs you time when you own the rental car. So, I don't like how much that I'm only making $24,000 over 5 years, and people say this is a passive income business. Unless you're having somebody drive your rental car to the airport for free, I don't think this is a passive income business. If you have to drive that car to the airport every day, unless you live 5 minutes away from the airport, I don't really feel like you're making that much money. Now, that being said, if you're wanting to essentially buy a nice car and also rent it out every now and then to help you make your car payment, I think this is a great business, because maybe you want to drive a nicer car and maybe you think that car payment's a little too high, so you can rent it out on Turo and make a little bit of money to help you make that car payment. But turning this into a full-fledged business, I think it's going to be a really hard thing to do unless you buy exotic and very expensive cars. But from what I've seen, the numbers kind of are the same, because every time you buy an exotic car, the price goes up and then you can rent it for more, but it's kind of the same chart. So, but I do think, it's kind of like real estate, that you're not getting that much until the end. But that being said, I feel like this is more of a side hustle. This is not something I would do. There's so many other businesses, in my opinion, in which you can make a lot more money with the same amount of time that you're going to be spending. And this is also, if you pay cash with it, it looks a little bit better. But at some point, the bank's going to stop lending you money to go buy cars, or they're going to start asking questions like, are you running a car rental business? And then banks are really weary of renting out your car, and they're really weary about basically loaning money to car rental businesses. It's going to be hard to find. If not, it's going to be a high interest rate, so that kind of eats into your costs. So I think you might be fixed on the actual getting loans in this business. I think this is a side hustle, and like I've said before, better side hustles than this one. If I were to rate this out of 10, anything over 8 is usually a business I would start. I would have to rate this under 5. I would say a 4.8, just because I know when I've rented a car, A lot of people are hard on them. I try not to be hard on them, but I've seen other people in rental cars, they're hard on them. So 150,000 miles in your car is a lot different than 150,000 miles of a car rented. So hopefully this helps. Go check out some of my other videos. I'll show you how you can start other businesses that will probably make you more money. If you got value out of this, like and subscribe. Thanks.